to make sure that they were all stable enough to withstand the vibrations on the ship coming to the other side of the world. And it is the most beautiful dress. This combination of quite a plain bodice and decorative skirt was very fashionable at the time, and the tassels would have moved and the whole dress would have shimmered as she walked down the aisle. And she married at the same society church, St. George of Hanover Square, where Eliza Penelope Clay married. And she was also a very wealthy young woman. She was the illegitimate daughter of Isaac Merritt Singer, who made his money through developing the sewing machine. But she married an English, kind of upper-class English army officer. The exhibition is dominated by couture pieces up to World War II, but for the post-war period, the story had to be the rise of high-quality ready-to-wear. The dress on the right, which was designed by the French couturier Jacques Heim, was made under license as ready-to-wear by a London manufacturer. Its simple, elegant shape exemplifies dresses at the beginning of the 1960s, but the hand of the designer can be seen in the simple but very effective way of creating a train from the extended tails of a bow, which decorates the back of the dress. And a similar design by him was called Dove, which I think is a very effective name. And when April Ulrich wore this dress, although she's now an actress, she was a ballet dancer. And with the mannequin that we've selected for it is a mannequin used by the Royal Opera House to display tutus, and it fitted like a glove. Perfect. You can't talk about white wedding dresses without showing the other side of the coin. So I needed to look for some coloured wedding dresses. And in the 19th century, most women wore coloured dresses, either for economic reasons, or because the coloured dress would be more useful to them after the wedding, or because they felt they were too old to wear white. Or if it was a second marriage, they wouldn't wear white. Now, although the V&A has proportionately fewer coloured dresses than other British collections because of our emphasis on high fashion, it has a few very interesting examples, including this wonderful printed dress, which was worn by Sarah Maria Wright. Sarah Maria was an agricultural labourer's wife, or became an agricultural labourer's wife, and she and her husband lived in a very remote part of eastern England it's a county called Lincolnshire, and they lived in Skirbeck, and the nearest town is 20 miles away. And her wedding dress is made from a very practical printed fabric, it's colour fast, so she could wash it. And the pattern of the fabric is very up to date, which suggests that she either made the 20-mile journey to the nearest town, or more likely that a peddler walking around the villages brought this fabric in his pack. And that was how many women in rural locations bought fabrics. But the actual style of the dress is many years out of date. Really, it's more appropriate to the mid to late 1830s. And we've photographed it, juxtaposed it in the book and in the exhibition with a very, very fashionable 1841 wedding dress, which is the other dress on the screen. Now, the other really nice thing about Sarah's dress, and why I'm particularly fond of it, is that many dresses show signs of wear after the wedding, but what many women did, because our brides at the V&A were wealthy brides, is they added lace to make a dress more fashionable. In Sarah Maria's case, she put on weight and she became pregnant, and we think she extended the bodice by 3 inches, I don't know what that is in centimetres, to encompass her figure as it grew bigger. But the touching thing is that even though she'd worn the dress, washed it, taken it out, she kept it. And her husband lived until he was 103 into the early 20th century, and the dress was given to us by his granddaughters. So it's an absolutely wonderful story. And because we got it from the granddaughters, they were able to tell us quite a lot about the family. And then I found out a lot more by using the internet. And her husband was a woad farmer. So they grew woad to make blue dye. So the 1841 dress is extremely fashionable. It's kind of fashion plate fashionable. It is a very beautiful dress. It's made from a silk figured with a floral pattern, and it's immaculately made. All its seams are self-piped. It's got, the trimmings are very up to date. It is quite fragile, and it won't be going in the V&A exhibition. Some of the dresses in the touring show will have to be rested, and we'll have to replace them at the V&A, but it is one of our key dresses. Unfortunately, we don't know who wore it, which is a great shame. There are other colour dresses in the 20th century displays, and these choices reflect both the status of the bride and the nature of the wedding ceremony. So quite a few were worn for civil weddings, and the greater degree of freedom in fashion in the late 20th century and early 21st century. The Liberty dress on the left is an example of an outfit worn by an older bride marrying a much older widower, the potter William Moorcroft. Marion Lazenby, who was related to the Liberty family, ordered a dress, coat and cloche hat from Liberty's famous department store in London's Regent Street. Now, Liberty's had been founded in 1775, and it was known for its promotion of craft and handwork, and it was very, very popular with women moving in artistic circles. And there's an absolutely wonderful Liberty dress with a splendid train from around 1906 that you'll see in the exhibition and in the book. Marion's blue wool coat, so Marion ordered this dress, the printed silk dress, with a blue wool coat, which is lined with the silk, it's reversible, and with a blue cloche hat. And then they'll all be shown together in the exhibition, but separately, so you can see the cut of the dress. Now, the splendid painted coat on the right, which is a favourite of everybody at the V&A, was designed by Richard Corley, who was a graduate of London's Royal College of Art, for the London couture house Belleville Sassoon, and it was worn by Sarah Donaldson Hudson for her registry office wedding at Caxton Hall in London, and it was chosen by her mother, who you can see in the snapshot. And her mother was a great organiser, and she told us this with a great deal of humour. So her mother told her very firmly that as she was marrying a divorced man, she couldn't marry in white, and that she recommended the coat because the coat had featured in Vogue in March 1970 and also in Women's Wear Daily. And it was one of Belleville's most popular and successful designs. And the Indian-style patterns on the coat, which is called Rajputana, were inspired by artefacts in the V&A's collection, so it's very nice that we have it. So Sarah's mother chose the dress, and she organised 2 wedding receptions, one a month later than the first, just in case the divorce didn't come through on time. Anyway, it did. And under her coat, Sarah wore an orange silk shift dress, and she wore it with matching silk satin boots from a very kind of groovy 60s shoe shop called the Chelsea Cobbler. So it's a very good, strong outfit. And then, as you can see, her mother was colour coordinated in orange. So it's a lovely story, and it was told with huge humour. And it's very nice to get in the relationship between mothers and daughters, I think. And I did try to introduce that several times in the book. So genealogical research was very, very important to the exhibition and the book. It enabled me to establish people's faiths and sometimes their occupations and their circumstances. And these facts helped to bring the clothes to life, as well as giving some idea of the social status of their wearers. So the dress on the left was worn by Margaret Scott Lang, who married Henry Scott at the Marylebone Presbyterian Church in London on the 24th of February 1857.